Welcome everybody. Tonight's workshop is a combination of diabetes and I kind of sub-labeled it nutrition. I really am so happy that you're all here. I really wish there were thousands of people here because some things that we think are so big and uncontrollable, like diabetes, really isn't. And so we need to not only learn these things, but all the information that we get, it's really my hope and prayer that you guys share that information, that you tell everybody you know. So, how many people in here either have diabetes or have a loved one that has diabetes or suffer from it? Wow. Wow. Not you. You don't have diabetes. Oh, you do? You know one person that does? See, that's pretty big, and we're going to go through that. Why all these hands are going up, all right? So, Ariana, let's go to the next slide. All right, the diabetic epidemic. 1 in 4 Americans have diabetes or prediabetes. 1 in 4. Did you see how many? Can you guys raise your hands again? Whoever raised their hand, you either have it yourself or know someone that has it. That's crazy, right? Almost everybody's hand went up. There's 24 million diagnosed cases in the United States today, and almost 25% of U.S. adults over the age of 20, and more than 35% of seniors age 60 and older are pre-diabetics. That's 57 million Americans. Is that a problem or is that a problem? That, right? So it's pretty serious. So let's go on to the next slide. So what is diabetes? Here's the real thing. Somebody tell me what diabetes is without looking at the slide. What is diabetes?
Chronic polyuria.
That's a symptom of diabetes. But what is it?
Sugar, too much sugar in the blood.
Okay, that's the common misperception.
Not necessarily, because diabetes insipidus isn't. It's chronic polyuria. Any condition that results in chronic polyuria is diabetes. I just had a test on them.
Okay. All right. So, in other words, chronic polyuria is, you're saying it is diabetes, or it's a form of, or a symptom of, or what?
All diabetes are because of chronic polyuria.
Okay. What is chronic polyuria?
Chemo.
Okay.
Not so. Yeah.
All right, but you can't say that that's inclusive of all diabetes only because if I drink a lot of water, I'm going to pee a lot.
Right, no, it's a malfunction.
Okay, so it's an abnormal for no
Yeah.
reason. We're going to go through that. That is a symptom of diabetes, but there could be people who do just pee too much that don't have diabetes. Okay, so there are other reasons that you could have that. But it is
in a nutshell.
It is highly related for sure. It's one of the major symptoms of it. Okay, so diabetes, also known as diabetes mellitus, is a chronic condition traditionally marked by high levels of glucose in your blood, high blood sugar. So is it a blood sugar disease?
Well, not necessarily, because there's also diabetes insipidus.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. There are two types of diabetes. Type 1 is insulin-producing cells of the pancreas are destroyed. So that means if the insulin-producing cells of the pancreas are destroyed, you can't produce insulin. So you don't have any insulin. Relatively uncommon, 1 in 250 Americans, and it may be due to a vitamin D deficiency, and they're especially finding that mothers who are vitamin D deficient during pregnancy, their children become diabetes type 1. But the most common is diabetes type 2. Now, diabetes type 2 means your body produces the insulin. You're making it. But it doesn't know how to get it into the cells or where it is needed. There's some kind of breakdown in the communication between the insulin and the blood sugar. So if insulin can't take that blood sugar out of the blood, it's not a blood sugar problem, it's an insulin issue. And the reason in type 2 diabetes is because your body's producing it, but there's a breakdown in that relationship. And there are two very important hormones called, and this is, kind of getting it into it a little deeper, called ghrelin and leptin. And those two hormones are responsible for letting your body know that you're either hungry or full. And when those two hormones, especially the leptin, you become leptin resistant, your body doesn't tell you that you're full anymore. Okay, so this is going into it just a little bit deeper than I wanted to, but I wanted you to understand that it is not a blood sugar disease. There is a breakdown. Why does that breakdown happen? Does anybody know?
No, I just had a question.
Sure.
You mentioned those hormones. So are you implying that it's caused by overeating? Because...
Well, that's what we're going to get into right now. That's an excellent question. Ariana, let's go to the next slide. The symptoms of type 2 diabetes, actually we're not going into it right now, we're going into it on the next slide, are excessive thirst, extreme hunger even after eating, nausea and possible vomiting, unusual weight gain or loss, increased fatigue, irritability, blurred vision, slow healing of wounds, frequent infections, numbness or tingling in hands or feet, and I don't even know why it's not listed up here, but like you said, that constant having to go to the bathroom, having to urinate, okay, polyuria. Right. Okay, next slide. So here it is. This is the question that you were asking, Adamelka. What is the cause of it? Is it overeating? And it's not so much that it's overeating as opposed to what we're overeating. And fructose is one of the major problems because today's Western diet is loaded with fructose. And it should not be loaded with fructose. The more natural form of the sugar is the glucose, but these two things are processed very differently. So as we've invented things like fructose, fructose is the main culprit behind the leptin resistance. Too much fructose causes those leptin signals not to be detected in the body. And now insulin can't pull sugar out of the blood. So again, we think it's a blood sugar disease, but one of the major issues is that we have too much fructose in our diet. So regular table sugar is 50% fructose and 50% glucose, and the two are metabolized very differently. Nearly every cell in your body was designed to use glucose for energy, especially your brain cells, but fructose breaks down into a variety of toxins that can have devastating effects on your health.
And that comes from the whole fruit and also from products that contain it?
Well, when you're diabetic, there are times that you have to cut out the fruits as well, just to get this under control. But when we crave sugar, think about it. Why would we crave sugar? What do we need sugar for?
For energy.
For energy. So when we're stressed out, stress was meant to be a tiger jumping out at us in the woods. That's what our body was designed to perceive as stress. But today, and that's why we need sugar for energy, to either fight the tiger or flight, the fight or flight response. But today, we're under chronic stress. So it's almost like we're living in a society where we feel like a tiger's jumping out at us all the time. So our bodies are constantly craving sugar for energy. What we really should be getting are the natural fruits or something like that, but instead, we're going for the M&Ms or the Snickers bar. And that's full of the fructose that we shouldn't be having. Okay, so when we crave sugar, an apple, an orange, something with the natural sugars is good. Not the candies and the chemicals that we have that our body doesn't even recognize as food. That's why we get into this crisis. It's shutting down processes in our body that are naturally supposed to happen that can no longer happen because it's messing it all up. Does that make sense? Okay, next slide. Fructose has the following adverse metabolic effects. Fructose causes satiety signals to be suppressed. That's what we're talking about with the leptin. And fructose does not make the hunger hormone, does not suppress the hunger hormone, making you want more food. That's called ghrelin. So when you eat things like cookies, you ever notice you can't just eat one? Because they're so full of fructose, and that high fructose corn syrup, which is in almost everything these days, so full of it that we're suppressing the wrong signals and not suppressing the signals we need to. So our bodies are always hungry, always wanting more, never feeling full, and that's why they say anything with high fructose corn syrup, stay away from it. Stay away from it. You're screwing up your chemical balance in your body. So how has this affected us? Let's go look at the next slide. In 1988, the states in red had more than 35% of the population considered obese. Okay, that's 1988. Have we added more fructose to our diet since then or less?
More.
Way more, right? Okay, so go on. 1992, look what happened. 1996, 1999, and 2000. More than 35% of the population in every state is overweight, considered obese. More than 35% now. Has the incidence of diabetes gone up or down? Oh, thank you. I love you here. Absolutely. Diabetes is increasing as our weight is increasing as we're consuming things like fructose. Okay, next slide. So why don't we just go on drugs? Why don't we just go on Avandia? And I'll tell you why. Because Avandia, a drug like Avandia, which is a very common drug for diabetes type 2, actually works on lowering your blood sugar. But what did we say about blood sugar? It's not the blood sugar. It's not the blood sugar. So that becomes dangerous. So if it's not a blood sugar disease, if we focus on the symptom of elevated blood sugar, rather than addressing the underlying cause, it's going to fail. We're just lowering our blood sugar, but we're not doing anything about getting that sugar to be used for energy like we need it. Not only that, but drugs like Avandia have dangerous side effects, including causing extensive heart problems that have killed literally thousands of people. In fact, Avandia has been linked to a 43% increased risk of heart attack and a 64% higher risk of cardiovascular death compared to patients treated with other methods. What are the other methods? It's pretty simple.
Changing your diet.
Changing your diet. Let's look at cutting out fructose. Keep going. The good news, nearly 100% of type 2 diabetes can be successfully cured without medications. Now, that's why I said I would love 1,000 people in here, because at least 1,000 people, maybe 60,000, need to hear that. There's millions of Americans suffering with this, and they have no idea that they can have control, that they don't have to succumb to medications. That.
What about like Splenda?
Ooh. Artificial sweeteners
Yeah.
are the worst.
Or like agave? What is that, agave?
Stevia?
Agave's good, that's natural. Stevia is much more natural.
Where does regular sugar fall into this? Like, not like M&M, I'm just saying like, you know how people say it's better to use regular sugar than Splenda or like...
Well, yeah, those artificial sweeteners like NutraSweet, Splenda, they were actually created for chemical warfare. They're aspartame. They're awful. They're awful for you. If you're going to have sugar, yeah, have a regular, I go for like a sugar in the raw. If I need real sugar,
But
not the white
anyways,
bleached out.
it's still bad for you, the regular sugar, right?
Yeah, especially if you're diabetic.
And what about this agave thing?
Agave is just it's like a syrupy form of sugar. It's from the agave plant. So again,
So
it's
it's
more natural. It's
natural.
not chemicalized, so your body will recognize it. So it's a much better alternative. So for people who need sugar for whatever reason, you're better off going with one of those.
Like in coffee, you know, people drink coffee with sugar.
Well, you can stop drinking coffee. Yeah, so yeah, artificial sweeteners are the worst. Diet Pepsis, and that was the story I wanted Dr. Howard to share with you, because he suffers from diabetes type 2. And when I first came in contact with him, the first thing I said, does he want to come tell the story, or he just wants to laugh at me?
Dr. Howard.
One of the first things I told him was, stop drinking the diet sodas. And he looked at me like I had two heads. But he did it. I don't know how I convinced him to, but he did it, and within a couple months, his blood sugar levels were normalized, just from cutting out the diet sodas. Okay, so people think, oh, there's no sugar in them. There is. There's artificial sweeteners in them. No good. Stay away from them. Okay, so let's go on. So preventing or reversing diabetes in 4 simple steps. Now that we know what it is, what do we do about it? And the first thing is exercise. And I'm going to give you guys a handout tonight that talk about these 4 things. But I do want to go through them really quickly. Exercise. Exercise is an absolutely essential factor, and without it, you're unlikely to get this devastating disease under control. It's one of the fastest and most powerful ways to lower your insulin and leptin resistance. Okay, so just by getting some form of cardiovascular exercise, you are going to reintroduce those relationships between insulin and leptin, and they'll start functioning better. Of course, exercise, the added benefit is what? It lowers your blood sugar, and in turn it lowers your weight, okay? So this is a natural way of lowering blood sugar. Again, why is there sugar in the blood? Because we need it for energy. Why do we need it for energy? Because in most cases we're stressed all the time. So think about it. You go for a walk, you're using up that sugar in the blood, and you're taking down your stress levels. And now you don't have that sugar craving. So it's a win-win all the way around. You're naturally taking the sugar out of the blood, okay? Because your muscles need it for energy. So if you're unsure how to get started, here's a really easy way, and this is the best time of year for this. Simple brisk walk 3 times a week, working up to 30 minutes. 3 times a week, go for a walk. Get a dog, whatever you need to do, but get out in this weather, because it's actually twofold. We're going to go into vitamin D as well. But getting that vitamin D, and I really want to talk about that for a minute, but we'll get there. So definitely a minimum of 3 times a week. What does walking 3 times a week for 30 minutes do for you? Helps you lose weight, but it lowers your risk of most major diseases by 60%. Just walking 3 times a week. How many people in here right now are walking 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes a day? Yes. 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 It's awesome. That is awesome. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's the bare minimum that you need to be doing, okay? Now, eliminate grains and sugars. Like we said before, if you're going to go for the sugars, go for the natural ones and fruits. But in the beginning, you may need to get rid of all of that. You may need to get rid of fruits for a month or 2 until things get under control. So no sugar at first, because you really got to bring that blood sugar down. But once it's stabilized and you have this exercise in place, you're going to be able to get away with having fruits again. All right? So, fructose and grains are largely responsible for your body's adverse insulin reaction. You will want to eliminate all sugars and grains, even healthful grains such as whole, organic, or sprouted ones. This means avoiding all breads, pastas, cereals, rice, potatoes, and corn, which is in fact a grain. You might even need to avoid fruits until your blood sugar is under control. What's a good way to do this? Like, let's just talk about diet for a minute. You know, is it great to just go out there and eliminate everything? Why?
Because you need to do it gradually, so it would stay with you. It's like a lifestyle change. If you see it as a diet, you're just going to do it for a limited amount of time, and then you can't wait until you go back to the real habit eating. So you need to gradually change it, and then it becomes a new way of doing things.
That's it. It can't be a diet. It has to be a way of life. And if you start off by eliminating everything that you love, you're going to fail. It's just not going to work. You're going to be miserable, and you're going to fail. So the best way to do it, and I love these nutrition workshops, because people don't understand how simple it is to change your diet. The best way to do it is to add things into your diet first, believe it or not, rather than taking things away. And what do you add in? You add in fresh vegetables, you add in fresh fruits, if you're not diabetic and you can handle it, but you add in things that are more healthy for you so that you crowd out the stuff that's not as good for you. That's the way I like to do it. And again, this should be gradual. You try doing it overnight, you're going to shoot yourself. It's horrible. But, like some really good, I call it the fresh fiber first rule. Before you put anything in your mouth, always go for something fresh. Like, for instance, before you have dinner, start with that healthy green salad. You know, people love pasta for dinner. Should you really be having pasta for dinner? I mean, it's empty calories. That wheat turns right to sugar in the body. So that's like the worst thing you could do as a diabetic is have wheat. So that's one of the things, if you're going to eliminate, please eliminate that first. Dairy is extremely inflammatory and full of sugar, so you're going to want to watch that too. Some of the things you might want to look into are, we have the standard process cleanse in our office. You can talk to me about that. We do a whole workshop on that. There are diets like the paleo diet. There's, I think it's called the 21-day fix. These are things that you can look up, and they're all, the diets that are good, or the lifestyles we should say that are good, all have the same common base. And the same common base means you're going to avoid processed sugars, you're going to avoid grains, you're going to avoid dairy. That's basically it. I mean, that's nutrition in a nutshell. You want to change everything, that's the way to do it. But again, start off by adding in those healthy things. Like, again, before dinner, have a salad. Put it out. If your kids are hungry, let them come pick at the salad. Let them put their hands in it. You'll live from the dirt. Don't worry about it. But that is actually builds the immune system when they get a little dirt in their systems, rather than using antibacterial hand soaps all day, which crashes their immune system. So a lot of the things that we've been taught are kind of backwards. So definitely start off by putting out that healthy salad first. The other thing that I like to do is, like, I always leave out, you know, if the kids are having breakfast, like strawberries, bananas, like let them start with that kind of stuff. Always take an apple before or with lunch, you know, so that you're eating something in its natural raw form first. Does that make sense? Can everybody try to do at least that, right? Okay, so take, you know, pack your snacks. You gotta be prepared. Get your fruits and vegetables at the beginning of the week, and make sure you take an orange with you so you're not reaching for a Snickers bar. Doesn't it make so much more sense? Okay. So definitely we're gonna eliminate grains and sugars, and we're also gonna look at dairy, which is just another whole workshop, big issue that we talk about here in the office. But again, if you're gonna look at any diet, you know, you don't wanna look at the fad diets. You wanna look more at the ones that eliminate the wheat, the dairies, and the sugars, okay? And when we say sugars, please don't misunderstand. Unless you're diabetic and you have a blood sugar issue, you don't wanna eliminate fruits. Fruits are good for you. It's better to have fruits earlier in the day because of the sugar content of them. You'll burn it off as the day goes on. It's not as good to have it at the end of the day. Another thing is, when should your biggest meal be?
In the morning.
Why? Breakfast. Why?
Start off the day.
It starts your day. When do you need the most energy? At the beginning of the day or right before you go to bed at night? The beginning of the day, you're going to use it all day. You're going to fuel your body for the entire day. So you want to start your day off with good energy. Are eggs good or no?
Yeah.
Eggs are great. Eggs are great. Don't even be fooled by that egg white thing. In order to get the benefit of the egg, you have to eat the whites and the yellows together. Otherwise, they're not the proper enzymes to break it down, and you're not getting the full effect. Okay? You have a question?
The salad from the refrigerator.
I won't tell her. Do you think she understood that?
Yeah.
Did you hear that? When her mom was in the bathroom, she stole the salad from the refrigerator. Good girl. Most kids would go for the cookies and the ice cream. This one went for the salad. That's why I love her. Okay, did we skip ahead? Because I'm not ready for that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I have a question.
yes.
What about oil?
Oils. There are healthy oils and there are non-healthy oils. Like the avocado oils are great. The coconut oils, can't live without. You know, the olive oils. Yeah, olive oils are fantastic. Okay, so there are healthy and non-healthy oils. In the book that we have somewhere on the shelf, somewhere over here, I don't know where I put it, but it tells you exactly what oils for what cooking temperatures and things like that. Okay, so she'll show you the book, and anybody, it's here all the time, so you can look through it. You can buy yourself a copy. It's a great book. Yes, 1 Degree of Change it's called. Okay, and that is based on the standard process cleanse. It's got, but anybody, if you want to borrow it, it's got great recipes. It's got great hints for healthy eating. I love it. The deal is you eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper. The meals should get gradually smaller as you go. Healthy snacks in between. You don't want your blood sugar going up and down through the day. Okay? Next is optimized vitamin D. Like I said, great time to go out for a walk. Everybody's avoiding the sun these days. If you don't get at least 15 minutes of sun a day, your vitamin D levels are probably tanking. You're more likely to develop diabetes. Your children are more, unborn children are more likely to develop diabetes. You have to get at least 15 minutes of sunshine. If you're not, talk to me about a supplement. We sell out of those in the winter because you can't get it in this climate. You just can't do it. But these days, please, without sunscreen, the sunscreens are probably causing more cancers than they're curing. You're better off covering up your body rather than applying these chemical sunscreens. You shouldn't put anything on your skin that you can't digest or eat because it goes into your blood. All right? So, That's the vitamin D story. If you haven't had your vitamin D, please have it checked. It's related to a lot of cancers as well as diabetes. All right, it's really important to keep that going. And the last is probiotics. Probiotics really helps balance the intestinal bacteria. You do need bacteria in your intestines. People who are overweight or diabetic have a different brand of bacteria in their intestines. They're not really using the same bacteria. We want to get that under control. These bacteria are extremely important at breaking down proteins and feeding the brain. So we have to have them. If you've ever been on an antibiotic, ever, you probably don't have the right balance of bacteria. So it's really one of the things that I never miss on a daily basis is my probiotics. We carry a very good brand here that I import from Canada because I've done my research and I know it's a really strong brand. You actually keep it in the freezer so that the bacteria stay alive in there. The live cultures, stay alive for longer. But yeah, that's one of the things that I recommend everybody has, okay? And I'm telling you right now, whether you have diabetes or you don't have diabetes, it's a lifestyle. You know, I love that word, lifestyle. I don't want people dieting. I want people eating healthy. And today's diet is full of these things that are, like we saw in the beginning, are increasing the rates of diabetes drastically. All right? So please know that it's under control, or that it is under your control, that you do have control over it, that you don't need to succumb to an Advandia or something like that without first trying good diet, exercise. And does anybody know what getting adjusted has to do with this? Why are we even talking about it in the chiropractic office? You know? I see the wheels working.
It has a relationship because diseases develop of us not being aligned with the spinal cord.
Yeah. If we're subluxated, are we getting out the insulin, or is our pancreas functioning at 100%? Or could this be a factor in it? If we have subluxation and we're cutting off the signals to our organs, is there a chance maybe the organs aren't working correctly? Absolutely. And unless that is working correctly, even with the diet and the exercise, you're never going to get it under control, because we need the proper signals, the proper communication from our brain to our body. So it does all tie in together. Okay? Now, like I said before, probably 3 times already, I wish there were 1,000 people here, but obviously there's not. But you guys are my chiropractic warriors. You guys know the truth, and it's now your job to spread the word.
That's there was
You have to be your own advocate. You have to find out the things that are working and the things that aren't. And like we said, this country takes more drugs and medication than any country in the world. The average American is now on 7 to 9 different medications. That's the average American. It's not working. We're getting sicker instead of healthier. So the more we learn about how the body works, the better we're going to be. And again, that's why, we're sitting here under a beach umbrella, because we're having a contest to have fun spreading the word about chiropractic, getting people to come into workshops so that you win points, so that you can win the umbrella and the fire pit and the chairs. That's why we do that. It's not because we just want to have a beach team and give everything away. It's because we want to find fun, creative ways for you to share your chiropractic story with people. Okay? So ways that you get points are coming to workshops, referring people in, bringing guests to workshops, going on Google and writing a review, telling them what you learned. All right? Having me come anywhere you want and talk about anything you want. I do that. We go to schools, we go to churches, we go to temples, you name it, we go there. We go to gyms, we do screenings. So it's a way to give back. It's a way to make sure that everybody's learning, always learning, so that we can all be healthier. We can stop this financial strain on society, and we can live longer, happy, healthier lives.